Adaeze still remembered the way her mother held her that morning at the airport, tightly, like if she loosened her grip even a little, her daughter might disappear forever. "Don't forget us when you reach there," her mother had said, her voice trembling but her eyes sharp with expectation. Her father stood beside them, nodding slowly, adding weight to the moment. "You are not just going for yourself," he said. "You are going for this family." At 20, those words did not feel like pressure. They felt like purpose. Adaeze smiled, nodded, and promised, "I won't forget." And she meant it. Canada did not welcome her the way she had imagined. It was cold, not just the weather, but everything. The people, the silence, the distance. Her first night in her tiny shared apartment, she sat on the edge of her bed, wrapped in two sweaters. The heater wasn't working properly, and she didn't even know who to call. Back home, there was always noise. Here, there was nothing. And for the first time since she left Nigeria, she cried. School was not easy either. The lectures were fast. The accents were confusing. Sometimes she would sit through an entire class and understand almost nothing, then go back to her room and replay recordings over and over, trying to catch what she had missed. But she adjusted, slowly, painfully. Her first job was at a small restaurant, washing dishes, standing for hours. Her fingers always wrinkled, always cold. The manager spoke too fast. Customers barely looked at her. But every time she wanted to quit, she remembered her father's voice. "You are going for this family." So she endured. The first time her mother asked for money, Adaeze had not even received her second paycheck. It was a Sunday evening. She had just returned from work, her legs aching, her back stiff. She was calculating how to stretch the little money she had left till the end of the month when her phone rang. "Mommy," she said, smiling instantly. "My daughter." Her mother's voice came, soft, almost fragile. "How are you? Are you eating well?" Adaeze laughed lightly. "Yes, Mommy, I'm fine." A small pause. Then, "Your father has not been feeling well." Something in Adaeze's chest tightened. "What happened?" "It's his chest. We've been going to the hospital. The drugs are expensive." Then the line that changed everything. "If you can send something small, something small." It sounded harmless. It sounded reasonable. It sounded like love. Adaeze didn't think twice. "I'll send it." That night, she transferred most of the money she had. After the alert, she stared at her account balance for a long time, then quietly closed her banking app and whispered to herself, "It's okay." That became the beginning, not the problem, the beginning. The calls became more frequent after that. Sometimes it was her mother, sometimes her father, sometimes even her younger brother, always with something urgent. School fees, house rent, hospital bills, foodstuff has finished. Each time, it sounded important. Each time, it sounded real. Each time, she sent. Adaeze stopped buying things for herself. New clothes became a luxury she could not afford. She discovered thrift stores and learned how to pick the best from what others had discarded. At work, she smiled like everything was fine. At night, she calculated. Every dollar had a destination, and somehow, none of those destinations included her. Winter came harder than expected. The cold seeped into everything, her bones, her thoughts, her sleep. But turning on the heater for too long meant higher bills, and higher bills meant less money to send home. So she layered up instead. 2 sweaters, sometimes 3, curled under a blanket, shivering quietly. One evening, her roommate walked in and frowned. "Why is it so cold in here?" Adaeze smiled faintly. "I'm okay." Her roommate shook her head and turned up the heater. Adaeze didn't stop her. But later that night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, doing calculations again. By the time she turned 22, Adaeze was no longer just a student. She was a provider, a sponsor, a lifeline. Back home, things looked different. Her mother started attending more parties. Her father became more respected in the neighborhood. People would say, their daughter is abroad, and it carried weight, status, pride. But thousands of miles away, Adaeze was standing in a cramped kitchen, her hands deep in soapy water, her phone buzzing again on the counter. She didn't need to check to know who it was. She always knew. And somehow, before she even picked up the call, she knew she would say yes, because love to her had started to look like sacrifice, and sacrifice had no limit. By the time Adaeze turned 23, sending money home was no longer something she thought about. It was something she did automatically, like breathing. Her phone would ring, and even before she picked up, her body would tense. Not because she didn't want to hear from her family, but because she already knew how the conversation would end. "Mom," she said one evening, forcing warmth into her voice as she stepped outside the restaurant during her break. "My daughter!" Her mother replied cheerfully, too cheerfully. Adaeze noticed it, but she ignored it. "How is work?" "It's fine." "How is your health?" "I'm okay." A small pause. Then, "Your brother's school has increased their fees." Adaeze closed her eyes slowly. "How much?" Her mother mentioned the amount. It was not small, not even close. Adaeze looked through the glass window beside her. Inside, her co-workers were laughing, plates clattering, life moving. Outside, everything felt still. "I just paid last term," she said quietly. "Yes, but things have changed," her mother replied quickly. "You know how Nigeria is now." Another pause, then softer. "If you stop school, what will people say?" That line landed exactly where it was meant to. Adaeze swallowed. "I will send it." That night, she picked up an extra shift, then another and another. Sleep became optional. Rest became a luxury. She started working at a grocery store in the mornings, school during the day, restaurant at night, cleaning job on weekends. 4 different jobs, 4 different versions of exhaustion. Her body began to protest. Headaches, back pain, heavy eyes that burned even when she tried to rest. But every time she thought about slowing down, a voice echoed in her mind. What would people say? Back home, her younger brother resumed school. Pictures were sent. Adaeze stared at the photos for a long time. She smiled, but her eyes were tired. One afternoon, she walked past a clothing store. A dress caught her attention. Simple, beautiful, on sale. She stood there longer than she should have, staring at it through the glass. For a moment, just a moment, she imagined wearing it. Then her phone buzzed. She didn't even need to check. She turned away from the store. That night, she transferred money again. It was not long after that the conversation changed. Not about school, not about food, something bigger. Her father called this time. His voice carried a kind of excitement she had never heard before. "Adaeze," he said, "we have been thinking." That sentence alone should have warned her, but it didn't. "Your mates are building houses," he continued. "Some of them even have properties already." Adaeze frowned slightly. "Mates?" "Yes," he said firmly. "People your age. You don't want to come back to nothing." Her mom joined in from the background. "It's for your future. We are thinking of you." Adaeze leaned back against the wall, tired but listening. "What are you saying exactly?" "We have found a piece of land," her father said. "Very good location. If we secure it now, it will be yours. Yours." That word did something to her. A house, her own house, back home. Something to show for all her suffering. Something to prove that everything she was going through meant something. "How much is the land?" she asked. When he mentioned the amount, her heart skipped. It was huge. But before doubt could fully form, her mother spoke again. "This is how people succeed. You don't wait, you act." Silence stretched between them. Then, Adaeze nodded slowly, even though they couldn't see her. "Okay," she said, "I'll do it." And just like that, she stepped into something she didn't understand. The payment started, first for the land, then documentation, then clearing, then foundation. Each stage came with urgency. Each stage came with pressure. "Send quickly. Work has started. We don't want delay." Adaeze didn't argue. She didn't question. She didn't pause. She pushed herself harder. More shifts, less sleep, less food. Sometimes she would return home so exhausted that she would sit on the edge of her bed, still in her work clothes, staring blankly at the wall, too tired to move, too tired to think, but somehow not too tired to send money. Her roommates started noticing. "You're always working," one of them said one evening. Adaeze smiled faintly. "I have responsibilities." Responsibilities. It sounded noble. It sounded strong. It sounded right. But slowly, quietly, it was swallowing her whole. Months passed, then a year. One day, during a video call, her father turned the camera towards a building. "Can you see it?" he said proudly. Adaeze leaned forward. She saw blocks, a structure, uncompleted, but something. Her heart lifted. "You started," she whispered. Her mother laughed. "Of course, do you think we are joking?" Adaeze smiled. For the first time in a long time, she felt something close to relief. But as the video continued, something flickered at the edge of her mind. The angle was strange. The view was limited. "Go inside," she said. There was a pause. Then her father chuckled. "Network is bad here." The camera shifted away quickly. Adaeze frowned slightly, but only for a second, because hope is very good at silencing doubt, and she wanted to believe. She needed to believe, so she kept going. More money, more pressure, more sacrifice, and somewhere deep inside her, a quiet voice tried to speak, and she wasn't ready to listen yet. The first time Adaeze felt it, she brushed it off, not because it didn't matter, but because accepting it would mean something was wrong, and she was not ready for that. It was a Tuesday night. She had just returned from work, her body aching in places she didn't even know existed. Her shoes felt too tight, her head too heavy, her eyes burning from lack of sleep. Still, she called home. She always did. "Daddy, let me see the house," she said, dropping her bag gently by the door. There was a brief silence, then movement. The camera turned. The same view, blocks, a half-raised structure, sand piled at one side. Adaeze stared at the screen. Something about it felt familiar, too familiar. "Wait," she said slowly. "Didn't I see this the last time?" Her father laughed immediately. "Construction is not magic," he said. "It takes time." Her mom joined in, her voice light. "You think we are not working? Everything costs money." Adaeze nodded. "Okay." But she didn't fully relax. After the call ended, she sat still for a long time. Then she picked up her phone again, scrolled through their previous video, paused, zoomed. Her stomach tightened. The same pile of sand, the same position, the same angle, even the same broken block near the edge. She blinked. Maybe it just looked familiar. Maybe she was overthinking. She dropped the phone. "I'm just tired," she muttered to herself, and that was the end of it, at least for that night. But doubt, once it enters, doesn't leave quietly. Days later, her mother called again. "My daughter, we need money for roofing." Adaeze sat up slightly. "Roofing? Already?" "Yes, now," her mother replied quickly. "Things are moving fast, very fast." Adaeze hesitated. "Let me see the inside first." Silence. Not long, but enough. Network is not good there, her father said. Let us go another day. Another day came and went. Excuses followed. The workers are not around. We locked the place. Rain spoiled things. We will show you later. Later never came. Adaeze started noticing a pattern, but she didn't confront it. Not yet. Instead, she worked harder, as if efforts could fix what she refused to question. At 25, her life had become a cycle. Wake up, work, send money, sleep, repeat. Her body was changing. She had lost weight. Her face looked sharper, older. One evening, her roommate stared at her for a long time before speaking. Adaeze, are you okay? Adaeze forced a smile. I am fine. But you don't look fine. I am just tired. Her roommate shook her head slowly. No, this is more than tired. Adaeze laughed it off. But later that night, she stood in front of the mirror, and for the first time in a long time, she really looked at herself. She barely recognized the girl staring back. Her phone buzzed. She didn't need to check. Mommy, she answered. My daughter, how are you? I am fine. Good. We need money for ties. Adaeze closed her eyes slowly. Ties, roofing, foundation, every stage, every request. But somehow, nothing ever looked finished. How much? She asked quietly. When her mother mentioned the amount, something inside her shifted. I just sent money last week, she said. Yes, but this one is urgent. It's always urgent. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Silence followed. Then her mother's voice changed. Not soft anymore, sharp. So, you are now counting what you do for your family. Adaeze froze. That's not what I meant. After everything we've done for you, there it was, that weapon, guilt. Adaeze swallowed hard. I will send it. And just like that, the moment passed, but something remained. That night, she didn't sleep. She kept thinking, replaying conversations, replaying videos, replaying excuses. And for the first time, the thought formed clearly. What if something is wrong? Her heart started beating faster. No, it couldn't be. Not her parents, not the people she was suffering for. She sat up, shaking her head. No. But doubt doesn't need permission. Once it finds a place, it grows. The next day, she called again. Daddy, I want full video of the house. There was a pause, longer this time. We will send it. Just calm down, he said. She waited. 1 day, 2 days, 3. Yet, nothing. When she called again, the excuses returned. Different words, same meaning. Adaeze sat quietly after the call ended, her phone resting in her lap, her mind racing, her chest tight. For years, she had trusted without question, loved without hesitation, given without limit. But now, something didn't add up. And no matter how hard she tried to ignore it, the truth was beginning to push its way through. Slowly, uncomfortably, inevitably. Adaeze met Daniel on a day she almost didn't go out. She had just finished a double shift, her body heavy, her mind exhausted. All she wanted was to go home, curl up, and disappear into sleep. But her roommate insisted. Just come, she said. You need to breathe small. Adaeze almost said no, almost. The cafe was warm, quiet, soft music playing in the background. It felt like a different world from the one she had been living in. Daniel noticed her before she noticed him. Not because she was loud, but because she looked tired. Not ordinary tired. The kind that sat deep in someone's bones. They started talking casually. Nothing serious at first. Where are you from? How long have you been here? But something about him was different. He listened. Not the kind of listening where someone is waiting for their turn to speak, but the kind where they actually hear you. It made Adaeze uncomfortable at first. She wasn't used to it. Over time, they became friends, then closer, then something more. Daniel was steady, calm, observant. He noticed things, small things, like how Adaeze's phone would ring and her entire mood would change, like how she would smile at the screen, but her eyes would already look stressed, like how after every call, she would go quiet, then reach for her phone again, bank app, transfer. He didn't say anything at first, he just watched. One evening, they were sitting together in his apartment. Adaeze looked exhausted, more than usual. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I am fine," she replied. He didn't respond immediately. He just looked at her, then said quietly, "You are not." She forced a small laugh. "I said I am fine." Daniel leaned back slightly, then asked, "How many jobs are you working now?" Adaeze hesitated. 4. He nodded slowly. "And you are still always broke." That one landed. Adaeze frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean," he said calmly, "you work more than anyone I know, but you never have money." She looked away. "That's not true." "Then, where does it go?" Adaeze shifted uncomfortably. "I have responsibilities." Daniel nodded. "I know." He paused, then added, "But responsibilities are not supposed to destroy you." That irritated her. "You don't understand." "Then help me understand." She exhaled sharply. "It's my family. They need me." Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "How often do they need you?" Adaeze didn't answer. "How much do you send?" Still nothing. Daniel leaned forward slightly. "Adaeze, do you even take care of yourself?" That question felt like an attack. "I am fine," she snapped. Silence filled the room. Daniel didn't raise his voice, didn't argue. He just said one thing, quietly, clearly. "Adaeze, your family is using you." The words hit like a slap. She stood up immediately. "What did you just say?" "I said." "I heard you." She cut in, her voice shaking. "Don't ever say that about my family again." Daniel held her gaze. "I am not trying to insult them." "But you just did." "I am trying to protect you." "I don't need your protection." Her chest was rising and falling fast now. Anger, hurt, defensiveness, everything at once. "You don't know them," she continued. "You don't know what they've done for me. You don't know how I grew up." "You're right," Daniel said calmly. "I don't." That threw her off for a second. "But I know what I'm saying now," he added. She shook her head. "No, you're wrong." Daniel didn't argue, didn't push. Instead, he said something that changed everything. "Okay." Adaeze blinked. "Okay?" "Yes," he said simply. Then he leaned forward slightly, his voice steady. "Don't believe me. Go home," he continued. "Go and see what all your money has built." Adaeze froze. "Not video call," he added. "Not pictures." His eyes locked on hers. "Go there and see it yourself." The room felt suddenly smaller. Her heart started beating faster. "No," she said quickly. "I have seen it." Daniel shook his head slightly. "You've seen what they showed you. That line stayed." Adaeze grabbed her bag. "I'm leaving." Daniel didn't stop her, but as she reached the door, he spoke again. "If everything is exactly the way they said," he paused, "then I'll apologize." Adaeze didn't turn back. She walked out. But that night, she didn't sleep. His words kept replaying, over and over. "Go home. See it yourself." She picked up her phone, scrolled through the videos again. Paused, zoomed. Same angle, same view, same excuses. Her chest tightened. For years, she had trusted without question. Now, for the first time, she was afraid to know the truth. And that fear, it was louder than anything Daniel had said. Adaeze did not tell them she was coming. Not her mom, not her father, not even her brother. For the first time in years, she kept something from them. The decision came quietly. No dramatic moment, no announcement. Just one long, sleepless night, and a thought she could no longer push away. What if Daniel is right? That question refused to leave her. It followed her to work, sat with her in silence, echoed in her chest. 3 months later, she booked her ticket. The flight felt longer than it was. Adaeze sat by the window, her hands resting on her lap, her mind anything but still. She wasn't excited, she wasn't nervous, she was unsettled. Memories flooded in, her mother's laughter, her father's voice, the house she grew up in, the sacrifices, the love. Then slowly, the other memories followed. The calls, the pressure, the endless requests, the excuses. She swallowed hard. No, they wouldn't do that. But for the first time, that belief didn't feel as strong as it used to. When she landed, she took a taxi. Her heart began to beat faster as they got closer to her street. Everything looked the same shops, the same roads, the same people moving about their day. But something felt different. The car stopped in front of a family house. Adaeze stepped out slowly. Her eyes scanned the compound. Voices, laughter, music. She frowned slightly. As she walked in, her mom turned and froze. "Adaeze!" The scream that followed drew everyone's attention. Her father rushed out. Her brother appeared from inside. Excitement, shock, noise. "My daughter!" Her mother cried, rushing towards her, pulling her into a tight embrace. "You didn't tell us you were coming." Adaeze forced a smile. "I wanted to surprise you." Her father laughed loudly. "This is a good surprise, very good." But as he held her, as he celebrated, Adaeze's eyes were moving, observing, noticing. The house looked different. New chairs, fresh paint, a large television mounted on the wall. Her brother walked past her, holding a phone, new, expensive. Adaeze's smile faded slightly. Sit down, her mom said excitedly. "You must be tired." Adaeze sat, quiet, calm, watching. Then she said it, simple, direct. "I want to see the house." There was silence, not loud, not dramatic, just there. Her father cleared his throat. "Which house?" Adaeze looked at him. "The one we've been building." There was a pause. Her mom laughed lightly. "Ah, you just came. At least rest first." "I'm fine, Mama," Adaeze said, "but I want to see it." Another pause, longer this time. Her brother avoided her eyes. Her father shifted slightly. "We will go," he said, "maybe tomorrow." "Now." The word came out firmer than she expected. Her mom's smile dropped just a little. "Okay," her father said slowly. "We will go." The drive was quiet, too quiet. Adaeze sat in the back seat, her hands clenched together, her eyes fixed outside the window. Her heart was beating fast now, too fast. They turned into a road she didn't recognize, then another. Finally, the car stopped. "Here," her father said. Adaeze stepped out slowly, and then she saw it. Her breath caught. The building stood there, but not the way she had imagined, unfinished. The structure looked abandoned. Weeds had grown around it. The blocks were dull. Some parts were already cracking. Adaeze didn't move. Her eyes scanned everything, slowly, carefully. This wasn't new. This wasn't recent. This had been standing like this for a long time. She turned to her father. Her voice came out low. "When was the last time work was done here?" There was no answer. She stepped forward. Her feet felt heavy. Pushed slightly at one of the wooden supports. It shifted too easily. Her chest tightened. "This is not new," she said. Then, a voice behind her. "Auntie, are you their daughter from abroad?" Adaeze turned. A woman stood by the roadside, watching. Before anyone could stop her, the woman continued. "We hear a lot about you. Your parents are really enjoying." That was it. That was the moment. Everything inside her broke. Not loudly, not suddenly, just completely. Adaeze looked back at the house, then at her parents. Her eyes were no longer confused, no longer hopeful, just clear. "Where is my money?" she asked. Silence. Her voice didn't rise, didn't shake, but it carried something heavier than anger. I was starving for you. No one spoke. I was working for jobs. She continued slowly. I couldn't afford clothes. I couldn't rest. I couldn't live. Her voice cracked just once. And this is what you did? Her mom stepped forward. My daughter. Adaeze stepped back. Don't touch me. That single word stopped everything. The wind moved quietly around them, dust shifting at their feet. For years, she had given them everything, and in return, they had given her lies. Nobody spoke on the way back. Not her father, not her mom, not her brother. The car moved, but everything inside it felt still, heavy, uncomfortable. Adaeze sat by the window, staring out, but she wasn't seeing anything. Her mind had gone quiet, not peaceful, just empty. By the time they got home, the earlier excitement had disappeared. The house felt different now, smaller, tighter, like the walls themselves knew something had broken. Her mom tried first. Adaeze, sit down, let's talk. Adaeze remained standing. Talk about what? She asked. Her voice was calm, too calm. Her father cleared his throat. It's not the way you think. Adaeze let out a soft, hollow laugh. Then, explain it to me. Silence. Her mom stepped forward again, her voice softer now, almost pleading. We use the money for family needs. Adaeze nodded slowly. Which family? That question hung in the air, sharp, unavoidable. All of us now, her father said defensively. We are your family. Adaeze looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time in her life, she didn't see her father. She saw a man who had taken from her without thinking of what it cost her. I sent money for a house, she said. We plan to build it, her mom replied quickly. Things just what? Her mom hesitated. Things were hard. Adaeze's eyes didn't move. Hard? Her gaze shifted slowly around the room. The new television, the furniture, the fresh paint. Hard for who? She asked quietly. No one answered. Her brother shifted uncomfortably. Adaeze turned to him. You knew? He looked down. That was enough. Adaeze nodded slowly. Once. Okay. She didn't shout, didn't cry, didn't scream. And somehow, that was worse. I sponsored your education, she continued, her voice steady. I sent money every term. I made sure you never lacked. Her brother's lip parted slightly, but no words came out. And you couldn't tell me the truth. Adaeze inhaled deeply. Her chest rose, then fell. For years, she said, I thought I was building something. Her voice softened, not with tenderness, with exhaustion. I thought all of it meant something. A tear slipped down her cheek. She didn't wipe it. I was starving some night. Do you know that? Her mom gasped softly. I would look at my account balance and still send money. I would stand in the cold because I didn't want to increase my bills. I wore clothes people had thrown away. Her voice broke just briefly. And you were here, enjoying. The room was silent. Not one person could meet her eyes. Adaeze wiped her face slowly, then nodded again. I understand now. Her mom stepped forward quickly. My daughter, don't say that. We didn't mean it. You meant it. Adaeze said quietly. That stopped her. You meant it every time you called. Every time you lied. Every time you asked for more. Her father tried to speak. You don't understand how things are here. No. Adaeze cut in. You don't understand how things were for me. Silence again. Then she said the one thing that sealed everything. I was not your daughter anymore. Her voice was calm, certain. I was your income. No one argued, because no one could. Adaeze picked up her bag. Her mother rushed forward. Where are you going? Adaeze looked at her, not with anger, not with hate, just distance. I came to see the truth, she said. I have seen it. Her mom's eyes filled with tears. My daughter, don't do this. Adaeze shook her head slightly. You already did it. And with that, she walked out. No shouting, no scene, no drama. Just the sound of a door closing behind her. 2 weeks later, Adaeze was back in Canada. Everything looked the same. The streets, the cold, the quiet. But she wasn't the same. Something inside her had shifted. Not broken, not completely, but changed. Daniel met her at the airport. He didn't ask questions immediately, didn't push. He just held her. And for the first time in a long time, Adaeze allowed herself to rest. Months passed. Slowly, she began to rebuild. Not just her finances, but herself. She reduced her jobs, started eating properly, bought her first brand new dress in years. It felt strange at first, like she was doing something wrong. But then, it started to feel right. The calls from home didn't stop. Different numbers, different voices. My daughter, you've changed. Are you now too big for us? After everything we did for you. Adaeze listened once, then ended the call. After that, she started picking up. Then she blocked them, one by one. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of clarity. Adaeze finally understood something. Love is not supposed to drain you until there is nothing left. And family is not supposed to feel like a burden you can't escape. The same daughter they called their blessing became the one they lost to their own greed. If you enjoyed this story, like and share. And if you love videos like these, subscribe so you don't miss our next upload. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.